So once again, a quick look at my view and a quick look at my screen, and this is just a plain numbers. So there you go, and to the video. So this is a bit of a funny one because I hadn't thought about this, but I kept on seeing the word fact checker on some of my notes, and I thought to myself, that might be a video. And I thought, what might the title be? And then I thought to myself, I know, do we have a fact-checking pandemic? And I thought, pandemics seem to be in vogue at the moment. We seem to like a good pandemic. So I thought, okay, let's explore the issue of fact-checking. Now, I think if we go back 2 years and you said fact-checking, it probably wouldn't have had much meaning. You might have associated it to, you yourself checking your facts in a very literal way. But now I think if you said the word fact-checking, there's one or two reactions. Number one, you burst out laughing because you associate it with saying things on Facebook that you know to be ridiculous or annoying. And someone's going to raise the issue of fact-checking. Or you are somebody that has been fact-checked, and it's in the context of a pandemic. And we know that there's some serious draconian fact-checking going on. And then I thought to myself, can you imagine being at a dinner party and someone says to you, oh, so what do you do for a living? And you replied, well, at the moment, I work for Facebook or Google or Amazon or Microsoft. And the person at the dinner table would say, ooh, that sounds really interesting. What on earth do you do for that big tech company? And then you would drop the bomb. You would drop the conversation stopper and starter, I suppose. You would say, well, actually, I'm a fact checker. And can you imagine the response you might get? Now, I've been having a look to see who are these fact checkers. And it's very difficult to find out who they are. I've identified a couple of companies that provide this fact-checking solution, this fact-checking business solution, and I do find it rather interesting because if you are a fact-checker, it's like saying you are the ambassador of all information and all truth. And many times, I think subject matter, the facts can be very debatable, because you might be making claims and you can just imagine it's a minefield to be absolutely accurate. But what amazes me is that these big techs, they have fact-checking capability. It's like saying, I have a God, or we have the information that of gods. And so it is quite interesting. Now, right here, I think I'd better crowbar in the caveats, and in case I'm being followed by a Google bot, fact-checking bot. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking a load of nonsense. This is just my crazy opinion, and I'm not trying to influence or impose my opinion on anyone. I'm just, trying to make fun of a complex subject matter. There you go. So this is just an opinion. I'm not trying to do anything here. Right, so fact checkers. Now, right, straight away, there is a need for some fact checking, because if it literally was a free-for-all in the social media tech space, you would be bombarded with a load of nonsense, and perhaps nonsense from a foreign power and that sort of thing. So you can see the legitimate need to actually have, some form of fact-checking. to have some form of community standards and community guidelines, because we literally don't want a free-for-all, free speech, anything goes policy, because you literally would have a load of nonsense constantly, and it would be painful. So some fact checking we can consider is very valuable, and we can see a need for it, so there is no real problem there. But when you have fact checking in the context of a controversial topic, or a topic such as national health, and you have fact checkers, you can see very quickly that you have a potential minefield, because defining what the truth is, defining facts. For example, someone might claim if you have a cold, chicken soup and a good night's sleep is all that you need. Now, a fact checker could come along and say, no, I disagree. Chicken soup is not the way forward. That person might be a vegetarian. Therefore, that's an incorrect statement. It's factually not correct, and we're going to block it or take it down. Now, that crazy analogy I've just used, we are already there, really. We're already under that level of fact-checking stupidity, because, ask anyone, have they ever said something on social media and, was it taken down, and was that correct? And I think you'll find many people, actually, sometimes the person would say, yes, I was pushing it a little bit. It was more an outrageous emotional comment. I knew it not to be absolutely correct, but I wanted to say it. I wanted to voice my opinion. And but a fact-checking person or bot might have got it, and it's been taken away. So fact-checking. Are we in a pandemic, a fact-checking pandemic? And I'm going to assert that we are. I think we've got to the point where everyone, should I mention, geography here? Because there are geographies around the world where we know censorship, where draconian fact-checking censorship really does exist. You can't say what you want to say at all in certain countries, so we are aware of that. So my context is really the UK, Europe and North America, because we operate in a similar way. We have similar laws and similar values and approaches to these things. So that's my context, really. So, are we in a fact-checking pandemic? I'm going to assert that we are. And where this will lead, I do not know. But I do find it amazing that once again it's become polarized. People either are, not that bothered by it because they've heard of it, but they don't spend much time on social media, so it's not something that's encroached on their lives. So they are aware of it, but really they have nothing to comment. But I know that there are many people that like to get on social media, like to be keyboard warriors, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you want to vent, or it's how you want to debate or offer your opinion, I can't see too much problem in that. Just let people vent and offer their opinions if they want to. But if we are all in the fear of being fact-checked, that does raise, a problem. Once again, is it a civil liberty? Are we in a free world? Do we have freedom of speech? All these phrases become real issues. And it begs the question, what are the facts? And it does appear that these big tech companies, when they employ fact checkers upon you, they literally do it in a draconian fashion, because you have no say in the matter. It just appears. Now the annoying thing is that it normally appears by stealth, i.e. what you've said is taken down or removed, and you retrospectively are notified that you've been fact-checked, that there's a mark against your name, and that you're issued with a warning, like a moral parking ticket, like an ethical judgment, a moral judgment. And all you did is say something, half meaning it, and you, in the spirit in which you mentioned it, it wasn't supposed to, make you a pariah, a social pariah. But that's how you feel when you get that dreaded notification that you've been fact-checked, you've been censored, you are subject to community standards, and all these things. Most of the people, they're not even aware of them, what they really mean or what they really are. So if you have been fact-checked, you learn quickly. So I think there are a couple of issues here. Number one, as I've said, who is the purveyor, who is the owner of truth? Number two, is it morally correct, and how does that fit in with our social structure that we have today of freedom of speech? Because it looks to me like freedom of speech is being eroded, even in Europe and North America, even in the free world. We don't really have as much free speech anymore. I've experienced it myself for real. So for me, it leads me to the next debate, which is okay, so let's look at the facts. Let's look at the issue of being fact-checked. I suppose we could look at some examples and look at why they were removed. So I think, so I'm going to use YouTube as an example here. YouTube has removed, at least it's more now, 1 million videos that have Google claims have provided medical misinformation. That's 1 million, at least 1 million videos that contain medical misinformation. Now, you would think if there's 1 million, bits of wrong information, number one, who really cares? Number two, what were those removals protecting? If they were all medical misinformation, what is it that they were wanting to protect? Now, I'm going to assert that those 1 million videos were removed because they were trying to protect a wider policy, a wider narrative of something to do with vaccinations, i.e. The powers that be want everyone to be vaccinated. So this is just one example. I'll keep off the vax and the unvaxxed issue today. But let's just get back onto what might it be that's being protected, because people are experiencing odd fact-checking around subjects that I suppose are controversial, but because look, you could assert that, and as I said at the beginning of the video, that some fact-checking is required, because if it's harmful or it causes harm, or it has the likelihood of creating division, etc., yeah, there's an argument that it should be removed. But if it's just general opinions about something that affect everyone, it's like the big tech giants are saying, we've become the god here. We are the owners of truth. And as long as you are saying things on our platforms that we agree with or we allow you to say, that's fine. But should you say anything we disagree with, we're going to remove it. And I suppose I've just summed up the point of this video. Remember the title, fact-checking pandemic. Are we in a fact-checking pandemic? I'm asserting we are. For me, it raises the issue. Social media giants, and it's unclear who is controlling this big policy at the top. But what they are saying via their behaviour is they are the sources of truth. They themselves are deciding what is truth. They themselves are deciding, what is fact and what must be removed. And that is a problem. I believe that's a problem. And I believe that we all, society right now, needs to debate this. I think big tech have got to walk very carefully here, because you're walking on freedom of speech, you're walking on civil rights, you are asserting that you own truth about everything, it seems. I mean, we know the subjects that are hot button subjects, and we know that if you say something on social media that goes against the government's narrative, you will be fact checked, or you'll be censored, or you'll break community guidelines. I mean, really, it's all the same thing. These words, censorship, fact checking, community standards, community guidelines, they're all the same thing. They're all a different word for censorship. Now, censorship always quashes opinion. Most of the time, censorship actually might be right. I have to say that. But have we got to a point in 2021 where censorship has gone way too far because it's overreach, and it's infringing on civil rights? It's definitely blocking. It's definitely not freedom of speech, because people aren't allowed to say what they want to say. I mean, I've said this many times. So I think we've got there. I think we've already got to the fact-checking pandemic. Maybe I should have called this censorship pandemic, but I quite like the word fact-checking in the title. Anyway, so that's my point. Have we gone too far? What will happen, because I believe something has to happen? Is it overreach? Is it helpful? Does it help society? Are governments, is big tech with governments going too far? I mean, I could use a million examples here, but the reason I'm not is because, I don't want this video to be pulled. I just want to raise the awareness, raise the issue. Have we gone too far? Has the government gone too far? Has big tech gone too far? Is fact-checking good? And I'm going to assert that a bit of it is good, yes, absolutely. If it's applied correctly and it's fair and reasonable, yes, fact-checking is absolutely fine. But I'm talking about fact-checking that is taking away freedom of speech. I'm talking about fact-checking that protects a possible hidden agenda, or protects only one narrative that is being imposed on people. And right there, I shall leave it. I shall thank again everyone for going this far. I hope my videos aren't too painful. I hope everyone's well, and I hope to come back to you again with something interesting. Anyway, I hope you're all well, and speak again.